Breaking news! Breaking news! What you're about to hear has shaken the WWE locker room to its core. And trust me, this is not the kind of story the company wants fans talking about right now. Because tonight, Seth Freakin Rollins finally snapped. And the man who paid the price? Paul Heyman. Yes, you heard that right. The so-called Wiseman, the mastermind behind betrayal after betrayal. The man who always survives while others burn, did not walk away clean this time. And before you even think of skipping ahead, don't. Because the full story of what happened backstage, who was involved, and how this could change WWE forever is way more disturbing than what cameras caught on TV. So let me ask you this right now. Was Paul Heyman finally asking for this? Or did Seth Rollins just cross a line he can never come back from? Hello viewers, welcome to WrestleScope. If you're new here, please don't forget to like and hit that subscribe button for daily updates on WWE Raw. The history WWE wants you to forget. To understand why this moment exploded the way it did, we need to rewind. Because this wasn't just about one night. This wasn't about one argument. This was years of manipulation, betrayal, and buried careers finally colliding. Paul Heyman has always survived WWE, not by fighting, but by destroying people from the shadows. Think about it. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, the Bloodline. Every empire Heyman touches eventually crumbles, but he always walks away with his hands clean. And Seth Rollins? Seth has been a victim of Heyman's chess games more times than fans realize. Remember when Seth was WWE champion, yet constantly undermined by Brock Lesnar's presence? Who was standing right there smiling? Paul Heyman. Remember when Seth was positioned as the workhorse, but kept being overshadowed by part-timers protected by management? Paul Heyman's influence. And more recently, when Seth Rollins publicly spoke about locker room frustration, creative blocks, and political games backstage? Yeah, Paul freakin' Heyman. This wasn't random. This was personal. What cameras didn't show you? Now here's where things get ugly. According to multiple backstage sources, what happened after the show was far worse than what fans saw on TV. The cameras went dark, the crowd went home, but the chaos? It had just begun. Seth Rollins was reportedly already heated earlier in the night. Creative changes, segment rewrites, last-minute script alterations. And guess whose name kept coming up in those conversations? Paul Heyman. Witnesses say Seth was pacing near the gorilla position, visibly angry, muttering to himself. And then Heyman walked by, smiling, calm, arrogant. That was the matchstick. The confrontation, raw, real, and unfiltered. Backstage talent say Seth didn't even yell at first. He laughed, a cold laugh, and that's when things got scary. Seth reportedly stepped directly into Heyman's space and said, and I quote, "You've been pulling strings for years. Tonight, you answer for it." Heyman tried to deflect, tried to joke, tried to play the wise man card. Big mistake, because Seth Rollins didn't come here to talk. Sources claim Seth shoved Heyman into a production crate, sending equipment crashing to the floor. Security rushed in, producers froze. Nobody expected this version of Seth Rollins. And that's when Seth said the words that have WWE executives panicking right now. "You ruin careers and hide behind monsters. I'm not afraid of monsters anymore." Why this hit harder than any attack? This wasn't a storyline punch. This wasn't a scripted shove. This was rage. Paul Heyman, arguably the most protected non-wrestler in WWE, looked genuinely shaken. Witnesses say his hands were trembling. The wise man had no answers, because for once, he wasn't in control. And that's what makes this moment so explosive. Paul Heyman has never been confronted like this backstage. Never. Not by Brock, not by Roman, not by Punk. But Seth Rollins, he represents something Heyman can't manipulate anymore. A locker room that's tired of politics, a generation done with mind games. And that's why WWE is nervous. Damage control mode activated. Within minutes, WWE officials intervened. Talent were ordered away from the area. Phones confiscated. Reports shut down. But it was already too late. Word spread like wildfire. By the end of the night, half the locker room knew exactly what happened. And here's the most telling part. Nobody blamed Seth. Let that speak volumes. Instead, many quietly said, it was bound to happen. Is this really about Roman Reigns? Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, Roman Reigns. Because if you think this was just Seth versus Paul, you're missing the bigger picture. Paul Heyman is Roman Reigns' shield, and by attacking Heyman, Seth just declared war. This could be the spark that reignites one of WWE's most personal rivalries ever. Think about it. Seth Rollins, the man Roman never truly beat mentally. Paul Heyman, the puppet master. Roman Reigns, the final boss, watching from the shadows. If Roman box Heyman, we're looking at chaos. If Roman distances himself, the bloodline may be done. Either way, WWE is standing on a powder keg. What happens to Seth Rollins now? Here's the question fans are asking. Will Seth be punished, suspended, fined, or quietly praised? Because here's the truth. WWE won't admit. This made Seth Rollins hotter than ever. Fans are rallying behind him. Locker room morale? Boosted. Social media? On fire. Sometimes chaos creates stars, and Seth Rollins just reminded everyone why he's dangerous when cornered. Paul Heyman's most vulnerable moment. For the first time in decades, Paul Heyman looked human, not untouchable, not invincible, not in control. And once that illusion breaks, it never fully comes back. This wasn't just revenge. This was a warning shot. Final thoughts. The aftershock is coming. Make no mistake, this story is not over. This was chapter 1, and the next chapter could rewrite WWE's power structure entirely. So I'll ask you again, did Seth Rollins go too far? Or did Paul Heyman finally get what he deserved?